Are you willing to stay in this relationship indefinitely and have children out of wedlock for a man that may never marry you? Are you willing to do that? He's 42. Oh, I'm sorry. You said he's Jamaican?
Yes,
So he's black?
black man and the mentality of the black man, all of these things that they're saying is true. And that's when it hit me, and I.
You were pregnant
Mhm.
and he didn't
Mhm.
get married to you then. Are you willing to never have children because of him?
He doesn't think that it's fair what he sees happening to most men when they get divorced.
What does he see
They.
happening to men? He's a mechanic and want a prenup? He's talking dusty talking points from the internet. How much more are you going to gamble into this situation?
It's
The
kind of like,
question is,
okay.
does he love you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you. Oh, wait, are you Caribbean?
I'm Dominican.
Oh, well, the Dominican is in the Caribbean,
Yes.
Dominican Republic, Dominicana.
Oh, see.
All right, wonderful. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's talk. So Mia, talk to me. What's happening?
Okay, so I have been in a 5-year relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm kind of like at a point where I need to make a decision because I want to move forward,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, throughout the, like, at least the last 3 years, he's been, there's been like supposed to be goals, and it's always something else that needs to be taken care of and something else. It's been like about 2 or 3 years that I've been heavily, asking and kind of like vetting to see what's gonna be the next step. But he's scared of having like the responsibility of a family.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 39.
Okay, so you've been dating him since you were 34. So you've been dating for 5 years,
Yes.
and you said that he says that he's going to create these goals each year. It seems to you that he doesn't want the responsibility of a family.
Yes.
Okay. So what type of goals is he saying that he's supposed to be setting each year?
First, it was his credit. He wanted to get his credit, which is understandable,
Okay.
up to par, which he did. He paid off all his debt, and that's really good. Then it was making sure that he had enough money to like buy a home and all of that. He
Okay.
got the money. Then last year he was supposed to buy a house. I mean, and then all of this happened within the midst of everything with the pandemic and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. That's where I'm like stuck because I understand that there's a lot of things going on, but I've seen people that have done it. They've
Mm-hmm.
gone and gotten married, and I'm stuck. Like I'm tired of being stagnant.
Do you two
Like,
have children together?
no, I
Okay.
actually had a miscarriage in 2020.
Do you
From
want to have a family with him?
I did a lot more before.
Has he asked you to marry him?
Um, no, not ask me to marry him. No.
One, what is it that makes you feel that he is the man that's for you to be your husband?
From what I can tell in his own life, he's very responsible.
Mm-hmm.
He's very consistent. He makes things happen,
Mm-hmm.
and I love him. Like, I do love him.
Okay. Why do you feel that he is the one?
I don't know how to explain that. We have a connection. We can talk for hours. We can talk about pretty much anything.
Okay.
And
How old is he?
he's 42.
He's 42.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So he's grown a grown man. He's grown.
He is.
What's his nationality? Is he American? Is he Dominican?
Jamaican.
He's Dominican here in America?
No, Jamaican.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said he's Jamaican?
Yes.
So he's black?
Yes, he is.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. Like, this is gonna turn, it's gonna be
No,
completely different. I
no,
know
no. If
because,
listen, if he was Hispanic, right?
uh-huh,
There's
it would be
a
different. it would be
Right.
different.
There's a greater culture of the family
Yeah.
pushing for marriage and all of that. With him being Jamaican and also black, and he's here in America. Was he born in Jamaica?
Yes, he's been here since he was young. Like I like he came when he
Okay.
was in his teens.
It's been 5 years and he's 42. You all started dating when he was 38 and you were 34. I hope I did the numbers
Hmm.
right. Okay.
Yeah, you know.
So you said that you had a miscarriage in 2020. How far along were you?
I was about 3 months.
When you became pregnant, how soon after did you tell him about the pregnancy?
In the morning after that, I
Okay. And how far
yeah,
along were you when you told him you were pregnant?
about a month, like maybe 6 weeks.
Okay.
Hmm.
And when you told him you were pregnant, did he begin to talk about marriage then?
No,
When was the first time that you two spoke about marriage?
I think within the first 6 months, not necessarily about we're gonna get married, but we spoke about having a family. We spoke about children
Okay.
um, in the very beginning of the relationship.
And then what changed?
What changed?
Yeah. So within 6 months, you two were talking about marriage. You were talking about, children and family. That was within the first six
Yeah, he
months.
did. He told me he was gonna make me an honest woman and everything.
Okay. What changed?
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
There was a
I'm
shift
trying
that
to think, like,
happened.
when you ask.
So we're
Huh?
talking about 4.5 years ago. Four and a half. So you met 5 years ago. 6 months in, you two are talking about marriage. He's gonna make an honest woman out of you. Talking about family, being together, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when did you all stop talking about marriage?
Well, it's not a thing that we stopped talking about it. It was more like I wasn't pressuring it because I didn't like, I guess because I wasn't like my age now and I was just like, okay, it's going to happen. I wasn't
Right.
pressuring it. So
Okay.
time just went by. I was like, okay, so what are we going to do? And
Mm-hmm.
that's when I started like maybe 2 years into it. I was like, okay, so what's the next, like, what's the next step? And then we had conversations and it would be like, okay, so I'm going to do this. And then, he'll get that done. And then, okay, so I need to do this. And so it's kind of like been that type of
Okay.
situation.
Let me ask you this question. Who is his favorite female star or pop star or actress? Who's his favorite female um, celebrity?
SW,
Oh, SWV. Okay. Okay.
yes, yes.
So if one of the women from SWV was dating him and she said, "Oh, I want to get married or I'm leaving," do you think that he would marry her?
Mm,
Do you think if he had a chance with the woman from SWV and she was like, "I want to get married," do you think he would jump at the chance?
probably, yeah.
So there's an issue here. There's an issue.
Yeah,
Because if he
there
was
is a,
dating Michelle from SWV and she was in there and was like, "I want to get married," you feel that he would jump at the chance. So let's talk about what is going awry right here. You've been in this relationship with him for 5 years. You love him, he loves you. He he knows that you want to get married, but he continues to say, "Oh, I need to get my credit together. Oh, I need to do this. I need to get enough money for a house." And he has hit all of those milestones. Meanwhile, year after year, you're in this relationship growing further and further in love, and the question doesn't come up. He's not
mm-hmm.
asking, and you're getting
Yeah.
older. You got pregnant. He didn't ask when you got pregnant. What
Mm-hmm.
was it? What was the conversation like after you'd become impregnated?
Well, he was stressed. He was stressed. He wasn't like, he was excited, but he was stressed. Like, you can tell.
Stressed about
It was kind
what?
of like,
What was he
huh?
stressed about? What was he stressed about?
His thing, he's always saying is kind of like, he says, oh, I'm a realist. And he thinks about all the money that's going to go into doing anything and what he's going to have to provide and all of that.
Okay.
So he
So,
overthinks the money situation.
okay, so you said that he was stressed when you brought up, well, when you were pregnant and he found out that you were pregnant, that he became stressed because of financial reasons. He's 42. You said that he
Mhm.
saved up enough
Mhm.
money to buy a house. He didn't buy the house. He still has the money. You became pregnant and then he was stressed. How willing are you to stay with him without marriage?
I'm not. I'm not. I just feel if it was like when I first met him, I probably would have been like, yeah, it doesn't really matter to me. But now, people change. I just
Mm-hmm.
feel like I want that stability.
Okay, you want the stability of marriage.
Yes,
What are the things that you feel that you will get from marriage that you're not getting now?
the Spanish, especially Dominicans,
Mm-hmm.
they really value family.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really
Yes.
value my family,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to have a family. If anything, that's what I want. If I'm gonna be with someone. If I was to get pregnant, I don't want to be a single mother.
Okay.
And, I know that he's responsible enough to the point where he will
Mm-hmm.
do what he has to do. Because I know I watch your show a lot and
Mm-hmm.
I watch Cynthia's show, and that's another reason why I've been thinking like maybe I should just let it go because of the situation with black men. Because he
Okay.
does talk about marriage in that way.
Okay. He talks about marriage in what way?
And like he doesn't think that it's fair. He doesn't think that it's fair the way that men get treated, and he doesn't think that, he doesn't think that it's fair what he sees happening to most men when they get divorced.
What does he see
They
happening to men?
I guess he sees that the woman gets money from the men, but I'm like, if you were together, that's first of all, that's after 10 years. Second of all, if you were together for a period of time and you grew, why wouldn't you want to, share the wealth?
I don't want to cut you off. I just want to try to understand this. I want to try to understand.
Hmm.
When you first met, 6 months in, he started talking about marriage and family. When did he start talking about how marriage is unfair for men?
That was like about a year ago. But like before, like maybe 2019, yeah, more than a year.
Okay, are you willing to stay in this relationship indefinitely and have children out of wedlock for a man that may never marry you? Are you willing to do that?
No,
Okay, so then what is your next option?
but that's the thing. He just told me, yes, we will be married.
You were pregnant
Right.
in what was it? January 2020. You were pregnant
Mhm.
and he didn't
Mhm.
get married to you then. You would have already had a
No.
baby by now and you would have been a single mother. He didn't get
Yeah.
down on one knee when he found out that you were pregnant. Instead, he was acting stressed.
Mhm.
I just want us to take a look at what it is that we have. I want us to take a look at what is being presented before us. And does he love you?
Well, I felt like it, but I guess I didn't really look at things like maybe that's what I'm feeling. With all the red flags that you're saying is what I'm feeling, as like my intuition. It's
The
kind of like,
question is,
okay,
does he love you?
I thought he did, but I'm
What
not
is it
so
that
sure
made you
anymore.
feel what is it that made you feel that he loved you?
Well, how he treated me.
How did he treat you that made you feel that he loved you?
He's always there for me
Uh-huh.
whenever I need something, or like, you know, that's the main thing. He's there for me. He's consistent
Whenever
in
you
that
need
matter.
something like what? A stick of butter from the grocery store? Whenever you need something like what?
Anything. I mean, I've never asked. for anything that he's been like, no, I'm not helping you.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay. I mean, I'm talking about like everyday things, you know,
You haven't
whenever I
given an
need,
example yet, my
huh?
dear. You haven't given an example yet.
I'm going to.
Okay.
Like, for example, if I need to take care of my car, he takes care of my car. If I need something done at my house, he comes and does it. If I need, I mean, anything.
Like,
I'm trying to
so if
think,
he, because you said there hasn't been anything that you have told him that you needed that he
oh,
has not done.
except for marriage.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Let's start there. You are telling him that marriage is important to you. You were telling him that
Mhm.
marriage is important to your family. You were pregnant with his child, and he didn't give you what it is that you need, the safety, the security. Instead, during this joyous time of your life when you were pregnant with his child, he didn't get down on one knee and ask you to marry him. However, you have said that if the young lady from SWV was in his presence
I
and he had
mean,
the
I don't know if he would or not, but I would say yes because why not? Like I don't
because
know.
because he would be afraid to lose her, because he would want to keep her in his life, because he would want the type of life that would be with that woman, with all the things that he imagined. Yet he is with you, and he in 5 years has not asked you to marry him, and you are 39. You said that you are not willing to become a single mother, because if your issue was, right, if you said, you know what, I'm willing to be a single mother, I'm willing to take this gamble, then I'm just going to stay here and see what happens. You said, I don't want to be a single mother. I'm 39. This is where I'm at in life, and I want a family that is born in wedlock. And he has indicated to you over the past year that he feels that marriage is a trap for men, and he doesn't like how men are treated in marriage in case of divorce and all of this other stuff. It doesn't sound like you two are on the same page in terms of marriage. It doesn't sound like you
Yeah.
two are on the same page. And I'm wondering, how much more are you going to gamble into this situation? Are you willing to never have children because of him?
Well, at this point in age of 39, I'm not necessarily hung up on having kids. You know, I know that if
So
it
you're
happens,
willing, so
it
you're
would
willing to never have children. That's what you're saying. You're willing to never have
right. Yeah,
children.
I'm not,
Okay.
I'm not too like bent on having kids. If it happens, then that's a blessing. But if it
Okay.
doesn't, then it is what it
Okay.
is.
Have you ever caught him cheating on you?
No,
Have you ever had any type of indication that there's any other woman?
no,
Okay. Does he have other children?
no,
So he has no children. He's dating
no.
only you. You've been together 5 years, and he is not. Okay. You said that you stopped speaking to him for 5 days and he continued to contact you. And how did you
Hmm.
two just start speaking again? How did you get back into this this situation where now you're
Well,
now back where you were before you stopped speaking to him?
there was so the day that he came over, there was a death in my family, and that was pretty hard for me. And he he was still texting me and everything, and I kind of told him, and that's when we started talking again.
Okay, so he slid back in when you were in mourning over the death in your family. And so
Mhm.
you all did not bring up the subject again until 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Okay.
I was gonna ask him, what is it that you want from me? because I really don't understand. You don't do what you need to do, but you still want to have me. I mean, that's selfish. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that is selfish.
How much longer do you need? How much longer are you willing to stay in this relationship without marriage? This is my concern. And I'm going to be honest
What is
with you. My concern is, okay, you could ask him to marry you, but is that something that he wants to do because he's not asking? And you can leave
Oh no, I
and
would not. I would not do that because
right, right,
I
right.
would
No, no, no,
not
no,
do
no.
that.
I'm not I want to continue the point. I want to continue the point, right?
Go ahead.
So you could ask him and maybe he would go along with it and you'd be married, but we wouldn't know whether or not that was something he wanted to do, right? Or
Right.
you could
Mhm.
leave and he can then run after you and say, well, I let's get married, let's get married. But it's not
Mhm.
something that he has valued and has willingly come to be like, listen, you are the woman that I love and I want to have a life with you where I commit to you. He has not come of his own accord. That is a concern to
Right.
me. It's concerning to me that it's been 5 years. He's 42. He doesn't have other children that we know of. When you became pregnant, he was worried and thinking more about money than the life that you two were bringing into this world. He's expressed things about men and the bad side of of divorce and how they lose money and even though you are the woman that he loves. When I asked you whether or not he loved you, you laughed and didn't have an answer. And these are all things that are concerning to me. So you know that he loves you because when your light bulb needs changing, he comes over and changes your light bulb. You can hire a person to do that off of Craigslist.
No, that's true. But you know what I mean when I say that. Like it's it's not
The
about
things, listen, the things that you named were maintenance. That's what you named. Coming to take your car to get cleaned and doing those things. But the one thing that you need to feel safe and secure as you get older, you're 39 years old and your fertility is plummeting each year. And he knows your age and he knows that marriage is important to you. He knows that he's been occupying your time for 5 years. As your family has seen him laying up with you for 5 years. And when you were pregnant, he did not come out as man and head of household to say, Mia, will you marry me? Let's have a family. He didn't say this to you. The baby miscarried and he still didn't say it to you.
well he did after I had a miscarriage.
He
He was
asked you to
very
marry
sad
him.
and no, he basically planned it for the future again.
So he started talking about some miscellaneous date. So when you were mourning your family's death, he came over and slid back into the relationship. When you were mourning the death of your unborn child or the miscarrying of your fetus, he then started talking about this sometime in the future marriage. Okay. You've invested 5 years of your time, five prime fertility years, as you now approach, 40. You've invested time into this relationship. However, I want to know how much more you are willing to give of your fertility, of your youth, of your life into this relationship without the commitment and the safety that you say that you want to feel from marriage. Why don't you do this, right?
Mhm.
If he doesn't want to get married, ask him how he would feel about starting a joint LLC with you, right? A joint LLC where you will get a lawyer to draw up some paperwork. You don't have to call it marriage, but create a joint LLC that and a lawyer draw up paperwork that affords you the same protections as marriage, but without calling it marriage, and see whether or not he'll go along for that. And if he doesn't, then you have your answer. Say we will
Well,
start the Mia
he spoke
Jam.
about talking to lawyers, before we sign any papers because he wants a prenup.
He wants a prenup.
Yeah.
What does he do for a living?
He's a mechanic.
He's a mechanic and want a prenup? I'm sorry, that was unprofessional of me.
Listen, that's what I said. I was like, what is it that you're
And what is it that you
like?
do for a living?
I'm admin,
You're an administrative
like
assistant.
office. Yes, office.
Okay. Who makes more money, him or you?
Him.
So how much more money does he make than you as a mechanic?
Um, I would say maybe like 20,000. Maybe like somewhere around. He does a lot of overtime, so.
He makes $20,000 per year more than you from doing a lot of overtime, quote unquote, and he wants a prenuptial agreement to make sure that you don't take his extra $20,000 a year. Mia,
Uh-huh.
where is your father?
Look, I know. I think the whole time when I wasn't like pushing it, I was more like guarding for him. Like
So you were
it's
caping for him to your family, making excuses for him.
I believe so because my family has asked about it. Like my dad has asked about it, but I wasn't in that mindset. And to be honest, I've been like watching a lot of people that talk about, marriage and then the whole thing with the black man and the mentality of the black man and all of that. And that's when I'm like, okay, so this is just like getting to the point where all of these things that they're saying is true. And that's when it hit me and I was like, okay, and that's when I started pressuring. I guess at this point is embarrassing. Like I guess that's why I don't even take him like it's been like
So
since
you're embarrassed of this relationship that you have with the person of this man. What is it that's embarrassing you that it's been so long?
yeah, that it's been so long. And the thing that frustrates me is that I have broken up with him and I've told him, I want you to be happy, but I want to be happy too. And he comes up with all of these things, and I don't know why I allow him to do that.
Okay. I have to stand up because my bottom is flattening out from being on the chair for so long. But listen, my dear, I just want you to take a look at the situation that we have at hand. I want you to take a cold, hard, honest look at what we really have here. And if you're going to break up with him anyway, or you're thinking about breaking up, or you feel that this is not the right relationship with you, then you need to do everything that you can do to see whether or not you can get this on the right track. And I'm saying that you need to have your father have a conversation with this man. You need to have this man touch your father's hand in a grasp and have your father communicate to him that he has been with his daughter for 5 years and that and your father knows your age. He doesn't, they don't have any grandchildren from you, and I know how much Dominicans value family and grandchildren and all of those things. Look, I don't typically give advice, but like I said, I would ask my father to have a conversation with him and to shake his hand and squeeze it real tight and peer into his eyes and dile las cosas que él necesito decir. Hombre a hombre, ¿me entiendes?
Sí, yo entiendo.
Okay. Because listen, if there's one thing that your father can do is he can take his older
I mean,
Dominican
but
knuckles,
Tanya,
hold
wait a
onto
minute.
his hand and say what he needs to say. Yes? Yes, Mia?
But what I'm like at this point, because that's one of the parts that I'm like embarrassed like about that. Everything that you said, because everything that you
Listen,
said
listen.
were
Embarrassment out
red
the window. It's
flags.
already been 5 years. Listen. Put the embarrassment aside. We ain't have time for that. At the end of the day, we need to do what we feel will accomplish the goal. The goal is that either he will ask you to marry him of his own accord, or the relationship will be over. That's the goal. That there's only two options here. And I'm hoping that the conversation with him and your father will make him so uncomfortable that he will become very clear. That's what I'm hoping.
And do you think, well, I would say, do you think that that's going to bring issues into our relationship because of the fact that it's not something that he decided probably on his own?
Listen, listen, we already know that when a woman stays gone long enough, the men come back. We already know that. We know that already. We know that. We know that. I think that it is time for you to start eliciting the assistance of your patriarch. I think that is time. And I understand that you're embarrassed. Okay. What is it that you want? At the end of the day, is you want him to willingly ask you to marry him, right?
Hmm.
That's what you want. And he has not done so
Yeah,
willingly. You have two
he
options.
hasn't.
What are the options that you have? What are the options that you have? What options do you
Well,
have? Do you think your mother talking to him is going to change? What do you think is going to get you the result that you want?
no, and I understand what you're saying. I really understand what you're saying. My thing is there a point because it's been so long and now I don't know. That's why I'm
Let me
so
ask you a
torn
question.
because
When are you going to admit to yourself that you really don't want to marry him? When are you going to admit that to yourself? Hmm? When are you
wow.
going to admit that you really don't want to marry him?
uh,
What is it that you're afraid of right now? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of being alone? What is it that you're afraid of?
I'm actually not afraid. I think I was afraid of being alone a while back, but not anymore because I mean
What is it? I don't want you to answer what you're not afraid of. I want you to tell me what you are afraid of. What are you afraid of?
what am I afraid of?
Yes. What are you afraid of?
I'm trying, but I can't find an answer. Like I'm not afraid. Well,
There's
I'm
something.
wait. I'm afraid. Yes. Let me, because I it just got came to me. If we do, let's say it works, and I go ahead and get married with this person, and then I've seen men that, even though it seems like the marriage is going well, um, they say, "Oh, you pressured me into this. You made me do this, and now, like you don't want to do this or you don't want to do that." That I am afraid
Exactly.
of.
Exactly. Because deep
That I
down
am
you
afraid of.
know that you do not want to marry him. Deep down you know that he is not going to be the husband that you need him to be. If he was, he would have willingly asked you long ago. You know that he is not. So when are you going to admit to yourself that you really don't want to marry him? You haven't answered that question.
Because I didn't know that I didn't want to marry him, Tanya. You just brought that into like my existence right now.
Listen, it's obvious that you too have a fear of commitment. That's obvious.
Both of us, you're saying, yeah.
Apparently, apparently, and you are going through the motions of a person that claims that she wants commitment. A woman that wants commitment gets commitment. A woman who commitment is important to her, she gets that commitment. When are you going to admit that you don't really want commitment?
Hmm. I'm gonna think about that.
There are many married women in the chat right now, right? There are many married women. There are women who commitment was important to them and it was at the forefront of their decision making process. A person who really wants commitment doesn't go along for 5 years without it. And then you already have indications that he is not the man. I mean, listen, you like feeling safe. Signing this prenup, how safe are you going to feel having a baby with a man who has a prenuptial agreement that you had to sign so that you don't get some of his $40,000 a year job?
Hmm. I know. I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. I hear you.
Okay.
It's a journey. It's been a journey for me. I don't know why it takes so long
Because you
to
did not want
realize.
commitment. You did not value commitment. You did not want commitment. And the reason why you feel that you are gearing more towards commitment now is because you've already invested 5 years into this relationship and you're turning 40. But notice when he turned 40, when he had that 40-year itch, he wasn't looking to get married when he was turning into his quacentennial or whatever you call it. He didn't do that. You know that you're not going to feel safe in this relationship. You know that you're not going to feel safe because he didn't give commitment to you willingly. And he's not going in saying, you know what, Mia, I want to care for you. I believe that we're going to be together forever. Instead, he's talking some dusty talking points from the internet. I didn't want to have to say this, but we've gone way over our time now.
I know.
He's talking dusty talking points from the internet. How much is he making a year? I made the joke and said 40,000, but I know you said he's making 20,000 more than you. How much is he making each year?
It's a little bit under 70.
All right. So he's making 60 something thousand dollars a year before taxes,
Yeah.
and he wants
Yeah.
you to sign a prenuptial so that you don't get some of his 60,000 in case of a divorce. This doesn't sound like this doesn't sound like a man who is really truly because we're talking about a man who is, you say he's 42, so he is what, 23 years away from retirement. 23 years away from being retired, and he is not really truly concerned about you growing into your twilight years. He's trying to find a way so that when you're old and fucking gray, oh, I did not mean to start cursing. So that when you're old and gray, and if anything happens, there's this prenup, and you're shit out of luck as an old woman now. This is his thought before he's like, oh, we're gonna have to get some paperwork signed so that you don't get some of my $60,000 when you're 50 or 60 years old or older. Come on. I don't know what else to say, my dear. I'm sorry that I got loud with you. It's just I feel that the other ways that I'm speaking, you're not hearing. I feel that you're not
No, I
hearing.
know. I know. I hear you. I get it. Like, I get it.
Okay.
When you said that I didn't want commitment, that was kind of like a surprise, like a shock to me because I do. Maybe I just don't want it with him anymore, because of everything that has happened. Maybe that's what you're picking up on, but
No,
I do.
no, that's not what I'm picking up on. Let me tell you something. Traveling is very important to me. I love to travel, right? We talked about this earlier on the show. When I travel for at least a month. I will allow myself to only stay for 3 weeks in certain occasions that are very time crunch, but I allow myself a month to travel. And people always ask, Tonya, how do you find the money to travel for a month? How do you find the ability? How do you find this? How do you find that? And I say to people, travel is very important to me. So I make sure that I built a life around the type of life that I want. This is what is important to me. So I made a life that had that in it because that was important to me. I was not willing to settle for a life that did not have that in it. And there's some people who they spend their money on trips to Miami. There's some people who spend their money on bottle service. There's some people who spend their money on shoes and Gucci belts. A Gucci belt is $500, I found out. I spend my money on plane tickets. I create jobs so that I have the latitude to be able to travel when I want to travel when I need to. A woman who values commitment gets commitment. It's as simple as that. When you put commitment at the forefront of your dating choices, that's how you navigate. You don't accept anything less than that. A woman who has it at the forefront, she gets commitment because that's important to her. Women who have a fear of commitment, women who don't want commitment, women who have issues that they're not addressing on the inside as it relates to commitment. And I don't know if it has something to do with your father and the different families that he's created. I don't know. These are things that you would have to look into in therapy to kind of figure out, why am I saying that I want commitment? Why in my heart do I feel that I want commitment, but my actions are not supporting that which it is that I am consciously saying that I want? Your actions staying in a relationship without marriage for 5 years, that is not the actions of a woman who has commitment at the forefront. And also, having a conversation about a man who has told you that he wants you to sign a prenup, that when you were pregnant, he didn't ask you to marry him then, that he's talking about marriage is so hard for men and what happens to men. We're having a conversation about a man that has not displayed that he values marriage, but we're talking about how we want commitment, but we are not. Listen, when you want strawberries, which aisle do you go to in the grocery store?
To the produce.
Exactly. Are you going to go to the canned food section talking about you looking for strawberries?
Right.
You're saying that you want commitment, but you're with a man who is exhibiting and saying to you that he does not value commitment. He's putting it off into the future at some unforeseen time. It's already been 5 years. You're having these conversations with a person that has indicated that they don't value marriage. You had his child in your womb, and he didn't ask you to marry him. And when the child miscarried and you were devastated, he began speaking to you of this unforeseen time in the future. He didn't say, baby, you know what? Let's do it right. Let's now that we have more time, we don't just have 9 months. Let's do it right. Let's get a date on the calendar. Let's start booking the halls. He didn't do that. The fetus died, and he comforted you with some flowery words, but then it was just back to business as usual. He's talking about some damn prenup with a woman who may have his children. He's talking about a prenup. I don't understand, baby. Listen, we've gone way over our time, and I know you've gotten what it is that you need from this phone call, so we appreciate you calling in. It was very brave of you, and we appreciate you. You've done it. You've done an amazing thing, so we thank you. Thank you, Mia.
Thank you. Thank you.
We love you. Keep your head up, and call back in the future to let us know what took place. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Make sure that you click around here for other videos. Come to my website, TonyaTKO.com. Get my book on Amazon, and love yourself through my content.